Hi, I'm Nick Wallen, and this is Basement History. Today, we're going to be talking about westward expansion in 19th century America, along with Manifest Destiny and the changes brought to the American identity. This here is Hunter Taylor, professor from Hogwarts, and Professor Yu from Andrew Stewart State University.
Thank you, Nick. The idea of Manifest Destiny boosted American nationalism by giving them the idea that they deserved the entire part of the North American continent, further implementing the idea that they were separate from Britain. The Land Ordinance of 1785 organized the land into a grid, making setting the land easier. This contributed to the westward expansion by making the new land easier to settle and join the Union. Northwest Ordinance of 1787 established a government for the Northwest Territory and outlined the process for becoming a state. This contributed to westward expansion by providing a process to include new territories into the Union. Jefferson kicked off westward expansion with the Louisiana Purchase. He bought the Louisiana Territory from the French in 1803. Jefferson sent two explorers, Lewis and Clark, to explore and chart the territory. On to you, Tiger.
Thank you, Hunter. Along with these ideas of manifest destiny and the change in American identity, the American movement west proved to be one full of trouble, as many violent encounters with the Native Americans, and has also done huge ecological damage to the American West. The conflicts with the Native Americans can be dated back to the 17th century, as the first Europeans had many territorial conflicts over with the natives. As time went on, the U.S. relations with the Indians were shaken up even more, when during the 1800s, as the Trail of Tears took place, where over 45,000 Native Americans were forced to relocate by the United States government. Even more conflicts arose as the U.S. government kept breaking their promise towards the Native Americans, as more settlers pushed westward to settle. Conflicts such as the Sand Creek Massacre of 1864, where the U.S. Army massacred over 150 natives, including women and children. Other battles such as the Battle of the Little Bighorn and the Battle of the Wounded Knee were caused by these territorial disputes. These conflicts ultimately led to the Dawes Act of 1887, which was an attempt to assimilate Native Americans into American society, and also called for the breakup of reservations, which led to, by 1932, 2/3 of the Native American land has been taken by U.S. citizens.
In the American and Indian War, the Desert Land Act was created in 1877. The federal government, trying to entice people out west, was offering up to 320 acres of land to single individuals, and up to 640 acres of land to couples. The caveat, however, was that they had to produce some crop and reap the rewards of a hard-tilled soil in order to continue ownership of this new settlement. Similar to the Desert Land Act, the Carey Act was established in 1894, was another attempt by the government to draw people westward and to disperse the land between these new settlers. The federal government offered each western state 1 million acres of land if they could properly maintain the land and irrigate it. A lot of private companies took advantage of this, but a total of only 4 out of 10 states participated, and this act was repealed in 1924.
The gold rush brought people from around the world to the west of the North American continent, California. Because of the abrupt increase in immigrants in the West, the United States had to recognize California as an official state. The new state on the West Coast only further promoted the idea of manifest destiny and the desire to make the country reach from sea to shining sea. In order for people to get to California, many went by land across the continent, making paths in the new frontier and establishing roads westward.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one key thing you should take away from a video here today, it's the fact that what do we have here? It appears to be a letter from one of our fans. Let's open it up. From young Alshon Tavius Smith. He asks, what way did the American identity change from the experience with westward expansion? It's a great question, Alshon Tavius. And for this one, we're going to go to our expert, Hunter Taylor.
Well, Alshon the first American identity that stemmed from the frontier experience was the idea of the American dream, freedom and opportunity. The frontier is a physical embodiment of the freedom that the United States presents. If someone wanted to start a new life, they could travel to the United States and venture into the frontier, making a name for themselves there. They had the possibility of factory work, agriculture work, or even just exploring the frontier and establishing settlements there. Another idea that stemmed from the frontier experience was rugged progression. Industrially, America was quite progressive, and that same idea was applied to the frontier and westward expansion. The progression that America was so well known for at the time also brought more people who wished to contribute to global industrialization.
The mystery doc, we decided to test our local professor, Mr. U. Mystery doc is the most important effect of the frontier has been in the promotion of democracy here and in Europe. The frontier is a product of individualism. Complex society is precipitated by the wilderness into a kind of primitive organization based on family. The frontier individualism has been from the beginning promoted democracy, the democracy born of free land, strong in selfishness and individualism, intolerant of administrative experience and education, and pressing individual liberty beyond its proper bounds, has its dangers as well as its benefits. From the conditions of frontier life came intellectual traits of profound importance.
You know what, Nick? That really sounds like one of the quotes I've read in the Importance of Frontier in American History by Jackson Frederick Turner.
Well, Tiger, that is correct. I'd like to thank Professor Taylor and Professor Yu for their excellent work here today. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us here. Until next time, this has been Basement History, and I'm Nick Wallen.